Welcome to the Prog Talks by the Progspace. Welcome to the Prog Talks, an interview series by the Progspace where we will be talking to musicians in all corners of the progressive music scene.
Welcome back to the last episode of the Prog Talks in 2022. I'm your host Dario, and as always, before we jump in and welcome today's many guests, don't forget to get us a cup of coffee or get yourself the Progspace cup or any other merch item. It helps us out a lot. And now as you can see, I've gathered a bunch of very cool musicians who had out very cool albums this year. Starting with a band from Sweden, and I think all three full-time members are with us today. I'm talking about an Abstract Illusion. And so there's Karl Westerlund, Christian Berglönn, and Robert Stenvall. Is that correct, guys?
Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Welcome to the Prog Talks. Your album Woe was released on September 9th on Willowtip Records, and it has been kind of a highly anticipated release as your debut album Illuminate the Path was out in 2016. So there's been like 6 years between the two albums. And how was the reaction for you when you put out Woe in September?
I don't really remember how it was. I mean, we kind of released it, and it felt like, our fans were happy with it, and then it kind of started rolling, and the people online were talking about it more and more, and I mean, all of a sudden it had a very good reception. We think we didn't expect it. We were just happy to finally get something out. Since it was like 6 years since we released the last album, so it was just nice to take a break and relax a bit.
I would say like the first reaction was, well, finally, because it's been 6 years since Illuminate the Path, and we started recording Woe in like September 2017. So it's been a really long process. So my first reaction was like, fucking finally. But and the reception, of course, has been incredible, and we're extremely humbled and I feel proud, to have released such a
you should be.
Album.
Thank you. No, we're just really happy to see the response, because I mean, you see all of these awesome bands releasing great music who doesn't really get the recognition that they deserve. So I mean, it doesn't really, just because you write good music doesn't mean that you will get a good reception, and
the reach also.
And the reach. I think we're just happy to see that our fans are spreading it to other people, and that's how the underground survives, to have like people who just like to spread good music to friends, and so since I don't think any of the bands here have like the big corporate PR machine behind them, so we have to have people on the ground to kind of like push the music. So it's really nice to see our fans do that.
Yeah, I have to say that I'm a new fan of the band, as I wasn't aware of an Abstract Illusion beforehand, and but retrospectively, of course, I saw the impact that Illuminate the Path already had on the underground progressive death metal scene, I would say. But 2016, I was very, very new to the scene, to the more extreme, more heavy prog scene. I started to delve more into it, so it kind of passed me by back then. But it was a big surprise for me, and I'm really happy about the response that I saw online, and also I think I saw a lot of the fan base was growing significantly. I would say from what I've seen online.
Yeah, I would say so. So it's really nice to see.
Yeah, that brings us to our next guest, Andy from Disillusion from Leipzig in Germany. And Andy, you've been a part of the, I would say, underground progressive metal scene for quite a while as well now with Disillusion. And you released the new Disillusion album, Ayam, at the beginning of November. And I have to say, I've known Disillusion since almost 20 years, maybe. And I was lucky to see you guys live back then with Back to Times of Splendor and Gloria and in like small youth clubs all the way back. And then I kind of lost a little bit track. And I mean, you also had kind of a longer break, and then you came back with the Liberation in 2019, and now I have the feeling that you finally found some momentum with Disillusion. Is that a correct observation?
Yes and no. I didn't really find it, worked to get it. It was a long process. There was a lot of things in private life, whatever. But then it was a lot of work to get really like the energy and the focus for the complete life, to make music in a long run. So it was a decision, and it was a long decision. And finally, in 2015, I felt okay to really dive into everything that needs to be done to be kind of living from this crazy. Yeah, so we are back, 2 albums now, new album out now. And first of all, but I need to say one thing. It's really a pleasure to meet you guys here, Abstract Illusion. I've been listening to your album. Well, let's say, don't get me wrong, I'm a bad record listener. It doesn't figure. I think it was like 3 or 4 times, but I really liked it. So thanks very much for the record. First of all,
thank you.
Thanks, man. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I'm actually kind of starstruck speaking to you right now, and I'm a big fan of Disillusion. So
thanks, man. and Regan, I don't know you yet, so I will get to know you. No.
Well, the album just came out, so
okay.
You can listen to it after this.
Very cool. So yeah, we are back. New album just came out, and we have a great lineup now. We have a perspective. COVID was not good for everybody. It was bad in a way. In other aspects, it was good. But now we are here. Yeah, new album out now. Now we give it back.
Yeah, and you also were able to go on a big European tour together with Obscura and Persephone, and if I remember correctly, that was also postponed. It was supposed to happen earlier, but now it was maybe kind of was it good for like to be closer to the album release for you, or was it just like yay, we're on tour finally?
It was just it was amazing experience. Great guys, Obscura, Persephone, great guys. It was amazing. I'm not just saying, it was really new friends and everything was really good and it was an amazing experience. But for the record and promotion, it was two months too early. Period.
Oh, okay.
So yes, but it was good. It was good.
Yeah, but you were able to do also a couple of headliner shows across Germany, here and there. Just last night, I think you played.
Yeah, somewhere. I'm really tired. Yeah,
somewhere in Eastern Germany.
Far deep east, almost Poland. Yeah.
All right, yeah, that was Disillusion's Ayam, also one of the most anticipated progressive death metal records of this year, I think, and both an Abstract Illusion and a Disillusion delivered big time. both amazing albums. And Colin, I mean, I know you for quite some time now, and I knew you were really anticipating the release of those albums, but I know you were really stoked to bring out your own second album as well, second full-length album with Ashbreather, Hivemind, right?
Yep.
That was 1 week after Disillusion's I Am on November 11th. And yeah, it's a special, crazy album. Tell us a little bit about Hivemind.
I don't even know where to begin, but this album actually it started being written, was it like 4 years ago at this point? We were started writing with our first album, and that took so long to get out as we were just finding time to record, and our singer at the time actually left to go to Germany, and we were like in the midst of figuring out, where this band was going to stand, and then the three of us were just kind of like, well, I guess in the meantime, let's just see how we can get with continuing writing. And so we progressed with, well, what ended up coming out as Hivemind. And initially we're just like, let's just make this as like a project EP of some sort that the three of us will do until he comes back from his time up in Germany. And then as time went on, it looked like it was becoming more that this would be the next full-time thing for us, being the three-piece that we were. And we never looked into getting a replacer singer or anything, because we were reserving that for him. And as we did that, the three of us tried taking over vocals that whole time for live shows. And it was tough, but after the reception from people seeing us, like, we're like super into how it sounded and everything, and thought we gave a lot of energy and everything, and made me actually feel proud about myself that, like, normally I don't really do vocals all that much, but we still focus mainly on just being an instrumental band and everything like that. But we throw vocals in because, oh, well, I guess we can do it. It worked out for us. So basically, yeah, this Hivemind album, we were basically like, we kept writing it, and it actually kind of got to the point that we were like, hey, we're starting to find more ideas for this. Maybe it can be pushed to even be a longer piece. And then now here it is finally at 37 minutes as one song. And it's the very long time of me being a prog lover. This is the kind of album that for all my life I've been wanting to put out, just like I look up to like bands that put out like long songs and concept albums and that kind of stuff. And it's really intriguing as well that around this time as well in my life that I started to kind of grasp ideas from like other genres at the same time. And then, and thanks to my bandmates too, of course, both Charlie and McKay have helped me to kind of dive into other genres as well. And it feels like that with this prog epic, we've done a bit to, try to throw more ideas into, rather than just being this grand prog epic, got saxophone like in the psychedelic spacey rock section that we threw in, and lots of spoken word elements to kind of really throw in, and just all kinds of different stuff. And everything was recorded in our basement too. That's another thing that I should mention that makes this record special, is that this was the first time, during the pandemic, we rented a house together. We set up everything in our basement, and we tried to see how we can make it work to record for ourselves. And 99% of it was recorded in our basement for this record. And the only other things that were not recorded there was when we got Matt Moss from Sluggish to do his guest vocals. And my roommate April and I both did some screams in a tunnel once. And that was done during like the really crazy blast beat part that was just like, this is just a noise section, let's just throw some tunnel vocals in. And that actually came out pretty damn good. So I was really happy about that. But yeah, everything you heard on that album was like in our basement. The drums, guitar, and bass was all done like one take. And then everything else, vocals, sax, other noise stuff was done post-production afterwards. And then we just spent so much time to just go back, revisit, make sure it comes out as good as it could. And I think it delivered. Like obviously not nearly as much attention as, you know, some of the other albums that we're discussing here today, because, well, you know, it's had more time to put music out and everything, and we're still a new band, you know. But
it sounds like sounds like such a cool band experience to just rent a house together and live there full time. Record your album in the basement. But like I think I've got two little questions. Last year you put out the kind of transitional EP "Ow My Eye Out," but I think I remember that those songs are actually newer than most of the Hiveminds stuff. Is that correct?
Yep. It's those ones were actually written during the pandemic procedure. I guess those were like transitionary pieces that kind of helped us, especially to figure out the future for the band. And it was also kind of like a testing ground for the new person that we brought in to help produce our music and make it sound good. And we didn't want to like put any risk like quite as much on Hivemind. We knew that okay, this is going to be a pretty big piece for us. Like, let's write some other songs that will be just kind of, you know, probably like still pretty good, but just to test the waters out. And then after writing them, they actually turned out better than we expected. And also April did a fantastic job producing it. So we're like, wow, okay, yeah, this actually turned out really great. So yeah, let's work with her again for Hivemind now that we know what to expect, and let's go with it and see how it goes. And yeah, it actually, as I mentioned, turned out fantastically. And I think the way that we went with it, like, couldn't have been done any better. And just to realize too that today marks the 1 month now of having Hivemind out. So that's pretty cool. And so
one last question about Hivemind. It sounds insane to me to record a 37-minute song in one take. And there's even a drum playthrough, like the video is on YouTube. You videotaped the one take that went on to be on the album. I still have to find the time to watch it, but I'm definitely going to do it. It sounds crazy. I've listened to the album a couple of times. It's absolutely fantastic, crazy shit. And yeah, and I'm also really happy for Ashbreather to see that you're gaining new ground, as they say. Moving on to our last guest and last was a kind of last minute idea to invite Rioghan from Finland here. We talked a couple of like maybe 2 years ago at the Progspace still when some of your first singles were out, and now finally your debut album is out like 2 days ago. It was released, Different Kinds of Losses on Inverse Records. Hi Rioghan, how are you, and how does it feel for you that the album is finally out?
Well, I'm a bit of a newcomer here amongst all these professionals, but debut album absolutely feels awesome that it's out, because the releasing the singles and all that stuff, it has taken like so long. Like for a year we have just released a single after a single after a single, and I'm like, the album is so old news to me already because it's been ready for over a year. But now it's finally out. That's perfect. And we have been getting awesome feedback from it. And everyone who has listened to it, we have exceeded their expectations. That's like many of the comments have been that okay, I listened out of curiosity, but this is fucking awesome. So that feels pretty good, like as a newcomer.
I had a little bit of a similar experience, I have to admit. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, but I don't know how to say it in English, but there's a saying that well, basically it means that you were just saying, yeah, you're a newcomer among all these professionals, but listening to your album, it sounds damn professional. It really stands up to all the other three we've been discussing, I would say.
That's good to hear.
And songwriting wise, I think it's cool to mention that you had two of the biggest names in the business helping out in some songwriting on a couple of songs. How did this come about? Tell us who is behind some of the songs on the album.
One song on the album we made with Katatonia's Jonas Renkse, and he also played the keys on that song for the album and a guitar solo. And then two of the songs on the album are made by Einar Solberg of Lepros. And then a few songs are made with Teemu Koskela, who played in Celesti before, which no longer exists, I guess. And then the rest of the songs we made with Teemu Liekkala, who has been with Manufacturer's Pride and now with Red 11. And he also produced and mixed the whole album.
So yeah, it really sounds fantastic, and I can't wait to see more people listening to it and to see their reaction. It is I think we've got a nice combination of albums here, as all of the albums are progressive metal albums, of course. Some are have more extreme and more crazy growling and death metal parts, some less, but on all of the albums there's good ton of melodic elements and parts as well. So everything that makes progressive metal exciting, I would say. And that leads me to our second part of today, and that would be your favorite albums of other artists from this year, as it's the last episode of the year. So I would say let's start with Robert.
Oh yeah, I would like to mention Seal and Order, self-titled album, amazing album.
I just saw them the other week here in Munich. Crazy.
Oh, fantastic! I would love to see them someday. I haven't yet, so looking forward to that. And White Ward with False Lights, amazing album. I discovered them like 2 weeks ago, and I don't know why I haven't listened to them before. I was like, holy shit, this is good. And also Gairea with their new album Mirage. Yeah. Gera. I don't know how to pronounce it. So many vowels in that name. So that's an amazing album. Like, you can hear some Mgwa references in there. Some good old melodic black metal. Fantastic.
That's two great picks. Continuing with Chris.
Okay, so this is actually kind of ironic, but I haven't listened to anything new this year at all, actually. It's kind of funny. No, but I don't know, I'm rooted that way. When I find a certain band or a certain type of songs, I just listen the living shit out of them, and just completely kind of just go full tunnel vision. So, unfortunately, I haven't had
No.
It's a shame. Yes, it's a shame. I should go and hide in a closet. It's awful.
Tell us what you've been binging on then.
I've been binging. No, but like normally, I'm a huge fan of. It's not progressive metal at all, but I'm a huge fan of Slipknot. I've been since I was 10 years old, 8 years old. And it doesn't matter up until now. I'm 30 now. And I've been listening to them almost exclusively since. Obviously, bands have come and gone. And obviously, I take inspirations from like Behemoth and Moon Sorrow and other bands like that. But when it comes to growls and stuff like that, right? But when it comes to listening to music, I'm generally pretty bad at it, actually. So I'm obviously I love and enjoy music, but I'm bad at listening to newer releases.
No worries at all. That's completely valid, and
a bit awkward.
No pressure at all. I think we've got enough recommendations to go around today. So
yes.
So all good. Let's complete the An Abstract Illusion trio with Kalle.
I just want to say it's funny that you mentioned Behemoth and Slipknot, because they have also released new albums this year. So you should check them out if you want to. But my number one pick was released in February. It's Vigedöd. There's Always Blood at the End of the Road, Belgian black metal. It's a really angry, ferocious, fast album. I think, and they also incorporate some kind of like avant-garde jazz in it, which is really cool. And then our label mates Hot released an album, All That Was Promised. I fell in love with that album pretty quickly. It's just, it's death metal, but enough twists and turns that they kind of keep it interesting along the way. Great mix, great production. They all are really, really good at their instruments, which is really nice to see. And great songwriters, of course, it's the most important part. And I guess I have a lot of albums competing for my third spot, but if we wanted to keep it metal, I would probably say Ashenspire, Hostile Architecture, another black metal album from Scotland. It's really cool. It's a very, it's kind of dissonant. It's kind of free form, I guess. There's saxophone and other cool instruments in it, and great lyrics as well. If I just could put one fourth album as well, it's
honorable mention.
Honorable mention, a Norwegian prog rock band called Marathon, with the album Unseen Colors. Yeah, I just saw that they were confirmed for Prog Power next year, so I was really happy about that. So I'm gonna enjoy seeing them there.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that in a second. Andy, your turn.
Here. My turn. Yeah, I kind of have to be honest too. No. We've been starting recordings January 9th all the way through, and when we do recordings, basically I don't listen to music. I don't listen to anything to distract me in a way. Or
thank you.
No, and other, I want to agree. There was no openness. It's okay. That's life. Okay, you just have so much capacity, and I didn't listen really like check what is going on in the world during the time. I did listen to the new Porcupine Tree album a couple of times, and it was really good, but I would not, and I listened to a lot of soundtrack music, classical music, but anything that draws a lot of attention, I usually skip. So 2022 was, I cannot really answer a lot of things. I cannot answer with a lot of records that I've been listening to or recommend. As I said, we were finished. When was it? That doesn't matter. 2 months ago or whatever. And I'm starting to come back. So I've been listening to I've been listening to Vo, as mentioned. Yeah, slowly coming back. Porcupine Tree is always good listen anyway.
Yeah, that was cool. I enjoyed it as well. What about you, Colin? I know you're checking out at least as much new music as I do, as you are also together with me behind the What's Hot and releases of the week every week on the Progspace. So yeah.
Yeah, promoting like what, like on average, like 40 records or something like that every week.
Yes.
It's I remember when we first started doing that, and we had like maybe 15 or something like that on a good week.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And now we're like averaging 36 plus, and it's no, it's great. I feel good being able to help promote, so many bands, because there's lots of music that needs, some attention. It's the wild world out there. But if I can pinpoint 3 records now for my favorites for this year, I actually had to kind of pull up my my top 50 list here so I can remember, because there's a lot of good shit that came out. But my number one, I'd have to come back to some of the records just to be sure if I'm still set on them, but I think they're good enough and well enough that I can still mention them as favorites. So first one is from the band Tamarum, their album Ash in Realms of Stone Icons. They are on Prosthetic Records. This is actually their first album they dropped, and I didn't even know about them before, but I saw the artwork and was like, oh, that looks really cool. And I saw the genre tags, like that sounds really intriguing. And listening to it, I'm just kind of like, wow, this has like, this kind of reminded me a lot of like Diablo Fiscaris quite a bit, but a little bit more on the kind of really aggressive black metal side of things in a certain sense. Really not as like, well, it's kind of got some technical elements, but they focus a lot more on the atmosphere, a bit of the melody and that kind of stuff. Some long songs, of course, and production is really good. And yeah, I'm just like, wow, this kind of debut is like, should be up there, like, or at least like close to like, the levels of like Portal of Eye, as I mentioned, Diablo Fiscaris, I'm just like, wow, this blew me away. I had to get the vinyl like right away. Yeah, fantastic album. And then for following up, this one isn't really prog per se, although they have some records that were somewhat more experimental and proggy, but this one is just straight up just one of the heaviest albums I've ever heard. It is from the band Isak Trillium, their album Consecration of the Spiritus Flesh. Has even like tags of like war metal almost, but like I'd say it's a more influential in the sense of war metal, but it's more straightforward like a black and death metal album. And I don't know what it is, but listening to this thing from front to back, it is just chaos and in your face. Just it happens so fast. I'm just like, wow, that was massive. Like it's crazy. Like a lot of times when I look for music that I consider fantastic, generally leans more towards something that's adventurous and all kinds of things, like, which is why a lot of prog tends to be up high on my list, because a lot of prog tends to be like that. But something about this album, for what it does in this style, just like they just nailed it. I was just like floored by how heavy that just hitting that level of heaviness, and I'm just, wow, that is a fantastic record. So I had to get that one as well. And then the other one I'm going to mention, actually also on Prosthetic Records, so not even a metal album, but they do have a bit of post-metal, sludge metal going on in there a little bit. But the band is called God Alone, with their album Etc. This one seemed to also have kind of been a little bit overlooked at the moment, as far as I know, but first time I checked it out, and it felt like that they're experimenting with a lot of stuff on here. It's kind of hard to pinpoint specifically like what kind of album it is in terms of genre. As I said, it's got tags of like post-hardcore, math rock, noise rock, even dance punk. Apparently people are saying yeah, I can kind of hear that. Yeah. Some progressive rock, screamo. They experiment a lot, and it doesn't feel like a jumbled mess of random ideas. It's like they really blended everything together really well, and it was just such an experience. So yeah, I definitely recommend that album as well. Looking for something a little more original and just also kind of adventurous in a way, because of how different it is from most records, I guess. And yeah, that was fantastic. So yeah, I guess if I had to leave it at 3, that's the 3 I would say is Tomarum, Isocilium, and God Alone. Yeah.
Yeah, three very, very eclectic underground picks, I would say. Rioghan, what about you?
Well, I really haven't been listening to prog a lot.
It doesn't matter. I always say you can mention whatever.
I have a few here, and I have been listening to a lot of neo-folk-ish things this year for some reason. I don't know. I just get drawn to somewhere, and then I stay in that puddle for some time and then get drawn to elsewhere. But neo-folk, it has been this year. So my favorite albums for this year have been Ordo Rosarius Equilibrio's Nihilist Notes and King Dude's Death. That has been a remarkable album. But also prog-wise, I'd have to say and agree with Robert with the Zeal and Ardor. I really love that album. It was really good. And I'm really looking forward if I get to see them live at some point. That would be awesome. And also, I would like to point out Rollo Tomasi, Where Myth Becomes a Memory. That was an excellent album. Somehow very
good stuff.
Fresh take on everything.
Yeah, very atmospheric.
And I really like the song Drip. It has like the snare is so angry. It's just so angry. The atmosphere.
I'm gonna have to go back to that and pay attention to the snare specifically.
The energy comes like to the face.
They're gonna go on tour in spring through Europe. Really
that would be also great to see live.
To seeing them again. As I said before we started recording this afternoon, I tried to kind of come down from my top 60 to a top 3. And 2 albums that I haven't really listened to as much in the second half of 2022. But then today I went back to them, and it was like, they delivered everything that I was hoping for. And that's actually 2 sophomore records. One from Germany, Soul Splitter Connection, and then Soledad 13 or 13 in French. Those are just fantastic follow-up albums. I have to say I still like their respective debut albums a tiny bit better, but like I would never have guessed that they come this close with the follow-up. Those are definitely some of the best and my most beloved records of the year. As for the number 3, I also struggled a lot. Marathon Unseen Color would probably be the third one, with a special mention, honorable mention to A.A. Williams As the Moon Rests, as it's an album that I kind of overlooked on the release Friday, and I'm really sad about it because I saw that it was out the Monday after, and so the article was already out. But I'm going to see them exactly in 1 week on next Sunday here in Munich. A.A. Williams with Karen Park, 2 fantastic singers. The atmosphere they are creating with their voices is just phenomenal. So that was my little rundown of the favorite top 3 or 4. And that leads us to our final part of the day. As it's not only the end of 2022, of course, 2023 is around the corner, and I think, there's a lot of plans already that's been announced, and maybe also some that you can hint at. Starting with Andy this time, maybe. Sorry to startle you there.
Man.
Sorry to startle you there, but I mean, you have still a couple of headliner shows in Germany, Austria, and Switzerland coming up in January and March, right? And then also the big Prognosis Festival in April. That's
very nice. Oh yes, I mean we this is constantly growing. Hopefully, it continues to grow the list of shows. So it's all, of course, promotional shows for the new record. And I mean, yeah, it's you mentioned a lot. So it's a lot of Germany, of course, but also Switzerland, Netherlands. Then we see Austria. Then we see how it continues. Whatever's happening, and we are planning a lot of things, but I cannot. Maybe as soon we will reveal the summer plans.
Yeah, I really hope to see you at the Summer Breeze or somewhere. But before that, I'm going to see you definitely here in Munich, and then also probably at Prognosis in Eindhoven on April 15th. And Abstract Illusion, you already mentioned that you are gonna play Prog Power Europe.
Yay.
Which is gonna be amazing. Was kind of a surprise for me that they booked you, and they've been kind of at it since this year's festival is over, and now announcing one band after the other, and one band better than the other. And you were one of the first bands that they announced. So when I discovered Woe, I was and saw that, you know, you're a three-piece and you have like a session drummer who did the drums on the album. I was not even sure that you did live gigs at all. And then when I discovered Woe, how good it is, I was of course very happy to see that you will do that kind of stuff. Is there any more plans that you can announce for now, or you're still working behind the scenes on some more stuff?
I think we're kind of trying to figure out things behind the scenes, as you say. No real big announcements. We're really excited to be at Prog Power because it will be our first international gig ever. Yeah. So that's really, really cool. We're so happy to be there because it seems to be, not only do they pick really good bands, but also seems to have a really nice atmosphere there as well, from what we've heard. I
can attest to that. I was there like 12 times already. So yeah, it's wonderful. Colin, what's the upcoming plans for Ashbreather?
Continue to promote this album. As far as I know, it's still fresh. See how that goes, and in the process, continue writing for future materials. And actually, we're currently writing for our fourth album, because our third album we actually had almost finished writing even during the process. The first album was supposed to be out, so yeah, we've been busy with writing, as you can see. But it kind of helps that we won't have to wait super long for the next record to come out, because now it's like, okay, well, we want to take a break from recording for now, so let's just continue writing. And then when we do get to recording, hey, we have another album that we can just hop right onto recording, and there we go. So that third album that's basically about done in terms of writing is going to be a bit even wackier of a concept. A society that eats nothing but beans, and then they get that taken away from them, and then things go dark, let's just say. Yep, that's going to be a really interesting one. People think that the Hiveminds was a little silly. Well, you're not ready. As opposed to when it comes to shows and stuff like that, well, I'm still in the works to try to get us some more out of town gigs. Again, we're not really like a big band or anything like that. Like, it will probably be some time before we get anywhere close to like, getting an opportunity like that one of, opening for Threshold, for example. We were actually like still, as far as I know, the only band in Canada to have opened for them there. So that's kind of cool. and I've been like a big fan of Threshold for quite some time. So that was it was a nice moment for us. And yeah, it's we'll see what happens. Maybe sometime in the next few years we'll get to play at a big festival or something like that. But not crossing my fingers too much for that. But hey, who knows?
Wonderful. Yeah. It's crazy to I mean, we, of course we talk almost daily with what's hot and release of the week, but that's going on. And I already knew that you have you just released the second album, and now you're working on the fourth, because the third is already done songwriting wise. It's crazy to see, and I'm really excited for more Ashbreather stuff. Rioghan, your debut album is out now, and I think in the press release it also was mentioned that you're trying to bring this on stage for live experience.
Yes.
How are those plans coming along?
Yeah, we have two big things rolling all the time. So just this week we had our first live rehearsals. So the live lineup is up and running, and in 2 days we got 7 songs together already. So also the live lineup is fire. So I think as soon as possible we are gonna go on stage. We are thinking maybe next year, April, May, something like that, so we get the production together also. So we are looking for some summer festivals and that kind of stuff, probably in Finland for starters, but I won't shut out Europe at all. That would be awesome to get a few gigs in Europe too. And the second big thing that's ongoing, we have already started to get the second album together. We have a few demos and we have a few collaborations, which I won't tell anything about yet, but the second album is coming and it will be even greater than the first one, of course.
Of course, yeah. It's very, very exciting to see and hear all this amazing music getting released. And what you just said, that ties in with our traditional last words of the show, kind of, as if people want to keep up to date what's going on in the Rioghan camp, in the Abstract Illusion camp, in the Disillusion camp, and of course also in the Ashbreather camp, you just have to follow and like and subscribe to their socials, which we will link everywhere. And then you will see when there's any news released about new shows, new singles, new videos, new albums, new plans. Thank you so much to everyone for being on this end of 2022 Prog Talks episode. It was the 40th episode in this year. It's been a hell of a ride. I'm really excited to see what all of you will be coming up next with musically, and I'm looking forward to seeing all of you live at one point. Some sooner than others, but yeah, we'll get there. Until next year, I have to say, take care of yourselves and your loved ones, and don't forget to keep spreading that prog love.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything, man.
The Prog Talks, produced by the Progspace.